Welcome, everyone, to the Kenya Wantum Notum movement. That's the KWM podcast.
Great to be here.
Today, we're doing one of our deep dives looking into some really powerful insights directly from the KWM.
Okay.
We're going to focus on how they see governance in Kenya.
Mm.
Our mission, really, is to explore their take on the big challenges the nation's facing and, crucially, what path they're suggesting for real systemic change.
That's right. And we'll be getting right into the source material from the KWM. Specifically, there's an article called Kenya's Politicians Legalize Theft Under the Mask of Service.
Okay.
And it gives a pretty, candid look at the political scene right now. And it really lays out the KWM's urgent call to action. It gives us a solid framework for understanding these big issues and maybe some ways forward.
Okay, so KWM starts with something that honestly might feel a bit surprising, maybe even uncomfortable at first. They talk about theft in Kenya not just being, hidden away, but something they actually call legalized theft.
Legalized theft.
Right, yeah. And they argue it's not happening in the shadows. It's out in the open and kind of unchallenged within the current system.
Yeah.
So the big question KWM poses is, how on earth can theft be legal?
Well, what the KWM tries to shine a light on is that this isn't about, brute force or obvious crimes.
Right.
Instead, their argument is that politicians are effectively using the structure, the framework of the law itself, to get what KWM calls these exorbitant salaries, allowances, and benefits.
Oh.
And the article points out this really stark contrast. You have these individuals in comfy offices supposedly serving the public, while at the same time, the vital public services millions depend on are, they're deteriorating. It's presented as a system where basically self-enrichment is made possible, maybe even approved, by the very tools of governance. That's a huge point of concern for them.
And this is where the KWM analysis really brings things into sharp focus. They get into the specifics of what they see as a shocking difference in official pay.
The number.
Exactly. Get this, from their perspective, a Kenyan Member of Parliament, an MP, they cite earning around 710,000 Kenya shillings,
Okay.
which is roughly $5,000
Right.
every single month.
Right.
And the KWM is quick to point out that figure doesn't even include all the hefty perks and allowances.
Right. There's more on top of that.
Lots more. And to give you some context, the KWM article says this base salary is nearly 10 times what a nurse makes monthly. A nurse, someone crucial to healthcare.
10 times.
It's over 7 times what a teacher earns, someone shaping the future generation. And then you compare it to, say, a Kenyan engineer who might make KSH 150,000 to 200,000 a month. The KWM argues that economic gap is just, huge.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture, the economic landscape, KWM explains how these massive amounts really add up to a significant drain on the country's resources.
Makes sense.
They point out that politicians also get allowances for, attending sessions, for travel, even just for being in meetings. And these amounts, as KWM puts it, add up to millions of shillings. Millions. And KWM is very clear. Every single one of those shillings comes directly from taxes paid by ordinary, hardworking Kenyans.
Right.
So the critical point, as KWM details it, is while these millions are going into individual pockets, essential things like healthcare, education, infrastructure, they're left underfunded, neglected even.
And that means?
Well, in the KWM's view, it means millions of Kenyans are deprived of basic fundamental services.
Yeah.
It contributes to this really deep societal imbalance they're trying to address.
And according to KWM, it's not just about the salary number itself. They argue it's a whole system built to keep this thing they call legalized theft going.
How so?
Well, how do MPs keep up these, expensive lifestyles paid for by the public? KWM suggests it's pretty straightforward. They vote on laws to increase their own pay and perks. And often, these proposals apparently get fast-tracked. Meanwhile, as KWM highlights, the really crucial budget stuff for public services, like schools needing repairs, hospitals without supplies, projects that could actually help communities, those get rejected or just delayed, significantly delayed.
Yeah, and that raises a really important question, doesn't it? Which the KWM asks, what happens when the legislative system itself, which is supposed to ensure fairness and distribute resources properly, becomes, as they see it, basically a tool for self-enrichment? The KWM states that these politicians pass laws specifically designed to protect their own financial interests, to help their families, to shield their businesses.
Wow.
And what's really striking, as the KWM article puts it, is if the law doesn't serve their purpose, they change it.
They just changed the law.
That's the KWM's assertion. It really underlines their view of a systemic manipulation, sort of bending the legal framework for personal gain instead of the public good. This kind of setup, KWM suggests, needs serious public engagement to change.
So KWM describes what they see as this really deep-rooted cycle of corruption. And it's a tough narrative because, as they explain it, you often get new governments coming in promising big changes, a fresh start.
Yeah, the rhetoric is always there.
Always. Yeah. Yet, what KWM suggests we often see is just more of the same, kind of a continuation of the backroom deals, the financial mismanagement.
So the faces change, but the system...
The system seems to stay remarkably the same, according to KWM. They point to ongoing problems like roads that never get fixed, hospitals that are always underfunded, farmers struggling year after year despite feeding the nation.
Right.
And then the stark contrast. KWM highlights these same politicians living in, mansions, driving luxury cars, sending their kids to fancy schools abroad.
All funded by.
All funded, KWM states, directly by taxes from hardworking Kenyans. It's a picture that really makes you think about where the resources are going.
And to kind of illustrate the scale of this, KWM makes a global comparison. They mention a U.S. member of Congress in a much wealthier country earning about $174,000 a year. That's roughly 25 million Kenya shillings annually.
Right.
Then KWM points out that Kenyan MPs in a much poorer economy can potentially pull together a total package with all allowances, reaching something like $126,000 or about 84,000 pounds after tax.
That comparison is...
It is. And the KWM, in its assessment, doesn't mince words. They call this economic gap between Kenyan political pay and the average Kenyan's income criminal.
Criminal. Wow.
Yeah. From the KWM's perspective, this comparison just throws into sharp relief the massive disconnect between the lifestyle of the political class and the tough economic reality for most people.
KWM also touches on something maybe a bit sensitive. What they see is the public's acceptance, or maybe just a kind of deep resignation to this whole system.
That it's just how things are.
Kind of. KWM suggests it's gone on too long, right out in the open. We pay our taxes, right? But KWM asks, what do we often get back? Healthcare that's not great, terrible roads, schools falling apart. Meanwhile, the politicians, KWM points out, are enjoying these significant financial perks. They highlight that almost 45% of Kenyans live below the poverty line, struggling daily.
Huge number.
Huge. While these political figures, as KWM says, are dining in five-star hotels, seemingly without a care, KWM is pretty blunt. It's time for the public to wake up to this and demand something different.
And what KWM does so powerfully, I think, is directly challenge that silence, that quiet acceptance.
Yeah.
They're really urging people to fully grasp what's happening, to see that these politicians, in KWM's view, seem to operate without shame, channeling funds meant for essential public services, for healthcare, for schools.
Right, the money meant for everyone.
Exactly. Yeah. KWM emphasizes that these officials vote themselves pay packages that are, and these are their words, completely, utterly out of touch with the average Kenyan's daily life. KWM believes this gap is huge and that public awareness and, importantly, collective action are essential to close it.
So KWM doesn't just stop at identifying the problems. They shift gears into this really empowering message. Enough is enough.
Right, the call to action.
Yes, they argue this situation just can't continue, and they actually outline concrete steps people can take. It's not just criticism. It's a passionate plea for the nation to reclaim its resources, its future.
Precisely. The KWM message is very clear. We, collectively, must demand accountability. We have to insist on transparency and, crucially, drive fundamental change.
No more business as usual.
No. KWM is firm. The money meant for public services must be used to build a better Kenya for everyone, not just flow into the pockets of a select few. They argue the current system needs a total overhaul. They want leaders who are genuinely there to serve the people. That vision of a government by the people, for the people.
The ideal.
The ideal, yes. Not just for the elite who are benefiting right now. They believe this collective determination is the key.
And this is exactly where you come in, the listener. Yeah. The KWM really emphasizes that together, we just can't afford to stay quiet anymore. They say the time for excuses is over. It's time for people to rise up and just flat out reject what they call this system of plunder. Corruption, as KWM sees it, has seriously held Kenya back. Stifling potential, denying people the quality of life they deserve.
Yeah.
And this is the crucial part. KWM believes we do have the power to change things. They argue we must hold our leaders accountable for their actions and for how our shared national resources are used. And KWM gives a very direct way for you to get involved, they say. Visit www.wantamnotam.com. Go there, create your account.
Okay.
All 47 counties are listed right there. Find your county, and then just start posting. Share your ideas that can help change your village, your city, and, ultimately the whole nation. It's a platform designed specifically to boost that collective voice, those ideas, for a better future.
And the KWM's vision for that future, it's really grounded in hope, in the strong belief that the time for change is right now.
Not tomorrow, now.
Exactly. It's time, they argue, to put a decisive end to the greed and corruption that have held Kenya back, stopping it from reaching its full potential.
So if we think about the bigger picture here, what KWM is saying, they fundamentally believe that by working together through collective action, we can actually build a future where the nation's wealth truly helps everyone, all citizens, not just, a privileged few at the very top. So what does this mean for you listening right now? It means you have a real, undeniable role in demanding that future and in actively helping create it. KWM isn't just pointing out problems. They're offering a platform, a real way for your voice to be heard, for your ideas to get out there, and for collective action to actually make a difference.
Absolutely. The KWM's vision, for a government truly by and for the people and how they emphasize the public's power to demand real change, it offers a really potent way to get engaged, a path towards a more equitable future.
So we've taken quite a deep dive today into these compelling insights from the Kenya Wantam Notam movement, the KWM. We've explored their powerful analysis of the challenges Kenya faces and their really passionate call for action and accountability.
And maybe something to think about as we wrap up. In a world where these big institutionalized systems can feel so overwhelming, almost impossible to change.
Yeah, it can feel that way.
Right. How does this kind of grassroots collective action that KWM champions offer maybe a blueprint, a way for ordinary citizens to actually reclaim some power and actively shape where their nation is heading? What really stands out to you about this idea of a future built on change and accountability?
That's a great question to leave folks with. And before you go, just one final reminder on how you can be an active part of this movement for change. Visit www.wantamnotam.com. Go ahead and create your account there. Remember, all 47 counties are listed, so find yours and start posting. Share those ideas that you have, ideas that can help change your village, your city, the whole nation.
Get involved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, don't forget to check the episode description. We put some extra resources there that could be really helpful for you. One is about starting your own business, and the other is about taking care of your health. Two really vital areas.
Very important.
Definitely. So check those out. Thank you so much for listening to the Kenyan Wantam Notam Movement, KWM podcast.